Hey, I hear you want to host a dinner party. Well, lucky for you, I've hosted hundreds of dinner parties, and along the way I've learned a thing or two. So in this video, I'll be sharing my tips, tricks, recipes, and step-by-step instructions on how you can host a stress-free dinner party. Part 1, the game plan. First things first, who's coming? We want to establish the guest list and what our max capacity is. This is crucial because the number of guests you have will literally dictate everything from the menu to how much food you're gonna make. My rule of thumb is that if you're cooking alone, then really you're kind of looking to invite between 4 to 8 people, 8 people max. More than that, you'll probably have to like rope someone in to help you, or you just have to keep the menu really, really casual. You want to think about things like, do you have enough seats, how big your table is? I mean, once we did a dinner party where I literally just sat everyone down on the floor and we just ate off our laps, which was really cute, but obviously depends on the kind of style that you're trying to give off. And I just want to mention, in terms of who you're inviting, if you're hosting for the first time and you're a little bit nervous, I would definitely recommend inviting people that you're really comfortable around. So like your best friends, people who are going to just help you and support you, not judge you, and basically friends who just wouldn't really mind if anything went wrong. Next up, dietary requirements or restrictions. If you've got a group of friends that you're thinking of inviting, it's almost guaranteed that someone within that group will have a dietary requirement of some kind. Like, imagine spending hours and hours on perfecting the perfect menu and the perfect recipes to then basically find out that someone had said like, oh, I'm gluten-free, or I'm vegan, or I'm lactose intolerant. Like, you would then have to just start from scratch all over again. So here's what you do. You ask your friends up front, does anyone have any dietary requirements? Because this will save you so much time down the line. The question is, what do we do if we have multiple dietary requirements within your group of friends? Well, try and plan to make one dish where everyone can eat it, or that's just really flexible. So for example, you could do like make your own taco station, or you could make a big pasta that then has like several different toppings that you could put on top. The other thing I do, which I just feel makes life so much easier for me, i.e. the host, is that if you ask your friends dietary requirements and more than 50% of your friends have one specific dietary requirement, then I tend to make all the dishes specifically for that dietary requirement, and then everyone else who doesn't have any dietary requirements just eats that dish. So for example, if over 50% of the people are vegan, I'll just make everything vegan because it's so much easier for me and the dishes will still be delicious. Now comes the dinner party theme and the recipe development, which is my favorite part of dinner planning. So I love a dinner party theme. I think not only does it make it easier for you to choose recipes, but it also sets like an atmosphere, which I think guests really love, and it's just a really fun thing to do, to be honest. So for this dinner party that I'd organised, I decided to do an Italian-inspired dinner party. I just went pretty low-key on this one, but depending on how wild you want to get, like you can ask guests to dress up, like you can have games that are focused around like the theme and stuff. You can do anything. It's very fun. Now, when it comes to the menu, the biggest mistake that people make is creating a menu which requires too much hands-on cooking and time during the dinner party. The goal is for maximum prep ahead, minimum effort on the night. So what you really want to avoid, so last minute frying. Unless you've practiced this loads before, then I would absolutely stay away from this. I went to a friend's for dinner once and she was making falafel. So she made all the falafel in advance, and literally as we arrived, she put the falafel in to deep fry it and it all fell apart. It basically turned into like this mush. And she dealt with it really well. We all just laughed it off. We ended up just ordering falafel off Deliveroo. You know, just avoid it if you can, because it just ends up being slightly stressful, and you know, all of that prep that you did before then just gets ruined. So would highly recommend avoiding the kind of deep frying stuff. Now, in addition to this, you really want to avoid dishes that kind of require your constant attention. So like a risotto, you would think that a risotto was a really good option, but actually you have to stir it continuously. You've got to keep your eye on it, and you want to make it fresh for people to eat there and then. What works really well for this is like one pot meals, sheet pan dishes or stuff that is in the oven, cold starters, and make ahead desserts. Or like what we're doing for this dinner party, make ahead sauces that all you then have to do on the night is kind of prepare pasta, boil it for like 5 minutes, so it literally takes no time at all. Let me know if you want me to share the recipes that I made for this specific dinner party in the comments below. Oh, and also, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure to like and subscribe. Firstly, so that we can hang out some more, but secondly, because it shows YouTube that you're enjoying my content, so they'll push it to even more people. Thank you very much, and sending hugs. Okay, so once we've established the menu, it's time for the shopping list. I love using a mixture of kind of like a notepad and my phone for this. Write down everything you need, from ingredients to drinks to napkins, candles, serving platters, extra cutlery, etc, etc. And the golden rule that I always do is buy your ingredients at least one day before, because there is nothing worse than having your recipes all set out, going to the supermarket, buying all your groceries, and then basically realizing that they don't have like a basic ingredient like butter or rice that you absolutely need for your dinner party. So that way, if you go to the shops and they don't have any ingredients, but you've gone to the shops the day before, then the day of, you can then find that specific ingredient. Okay, now if you have nice friends, then the majority of the time, they will always say, oh, what can I bring? Like, oh, can I bring anything? Let me know what we can bring. So there are several ways that you can respond to this. Number one, that you say, guys, honestly, don't worry. It's a complimentary evening. It's on me. Seriously, please don't bring anything. Now, this is a side note to any guest. Don't turn up empty-handed. Even if your host has said don't bring anything, just take a little gift, whether that's a bunch of flowers or a card. It doesn't really matter. They'll just really appreciate anything that you take. Option two is that you can ask your guests to bring something that will add to the dinner. So for example, drinks or little nibbles at the start or a dessert. Basically kind of isn't part of your menu, but you're happy for them to bring something. And lastly, you can always ask your guests to contribute to the cost of the ingredients, which could also be a really good option. But honestly, you just do whatever you feel most comfortable with. All right, so now that we've nailed down the planning, guest list, the menu, the shopping, it's time to set yourself up for success. And trust me, the way you prep before your guests arrive will make or break your dinner party experience. So first up, this might seem like a bit unnecessary, but I swear by this. It's scheduling. And here's how I break it down so that it doesn't feel like a mad dash to the finish line on the day. You want to make a schedule of what you can prep in advance, i.e. the day before, then on the day, 1 hour before, and then what to do during the dinner party. So for example, on this specific dinner party I held, the day before I wanted to go shopping, make the whipped ricotta, fry off the leeks, make the hot honey, roast the hazelnuts, all for the starters, and store them all in the fridge. For the main, I made the zozona sauce and stored it in the fridge overnight. I also made the anchovy dressing the night before too. The day of, early in the morning, I prepped the focaccia so that it had time to rise and cook. I also made all of the elements for the mille foglie, from the custard to the pastry. And it would just mean that then all I would have to do is assemble that just before serving. And before the guests arrived, I placed up all of the starters, started heating up the sauce for the main. I also heated up the focaccia in the oven so that it would be lovely and toasty and warm for when the guests arrive. Next up, setting the table. The food is honestly just a part of a dinner party experience. The atmosphere is so crucial to a great dinner party. So I would definitely recommend keeping it simple, but making it really cute. Essentially, to do this, just use whatever you've got. So crockery that doesn't match is fine. Wine glasses or regular glasses that don't match are fine. I think it's kind of more fun to have mix and match anyway. I love using candles and low-level flowers because if you have the flowers that are too tall, then nobody can see each other and it's a nightmare. So just have little flowers or cut the ends off so that you can kind of see over the flowers and see everyone's faces. I love going to charity shops or thrift stores to find any kind of quirky table decor, whether that's like a candle holder or just a really fun centerpiece or a serving dish. You just never know what you'll find, you know? And another big one, music playlists. I hate silence in the background of a dinner party. I just use my laptop. I get my laptop up, use Spotify, and I find a really fun Spotify playlist. I love the Dinner Chill Music 2025. Super basic, but it's just really cute, really low key. And I just put it on in the background and it just adds a lovely, lovely atmosphere to the evening. Now, with regards to setting the table, do not leave this to the last minute. I would honestly prepare the table like the morning of your evening event, or at least like 2 hours before you're doing your dinner party, because there is nothing worse than your guests arriving and you're kind of fiddling about like folding the napkins or prepping up, you know, making the table or lighting the candles. It's just so much more inviting if your guests turn up and everything is already ready. I mean, that's so professional, isn't it? It's just so, it's like, oh my God, this girl's so put together. Okay, get your kitchen ready. Now, what I mean by this is that make sure your kitchen is set up to help you, not stress you out. So this is what I always do before guests arrive. Empty the dishwasher. Honestly, there's nothing worse than loading up your dishes to realize that your dishwasher has not been emptied or it's already full with loads of other dirty dishes. Clean your sink. Once again, your future self will thank you when dishes start piling up. Do the bins or empty the trash before anyone arrives. Like, I feel like whenever I'm prepping for a dinner party, my bin fills up so quickly because you're prepping all the ingredients and you're like throwing away like bits and bobs. And so by the time the evening comes, like your bin is super full. So then anything else that you need to put in the bin, your kitchen just ends up being a disaster. So yeah, do the bins before the evening starts. Another tip that I would really recommend is having a dirty dish zone. So essentially clear a surface in your kitchen where guests can bring in their dirty dishes, because it's inevitable. Your friends are gonna wanna help. They're gonna wanna bring in the dirty dishes, and also that is really helpful for you. But what's not good is when they come in and they say, oh, you know, where can I put the dishes? And like, it's just chaos and there's nowhere for them to put them. So make sure that you have a dirty dish zone and one part of your kitchen that they could just put the dishes there. Easy, so simple. Lastly, get ready at least 30 minutes before your guests arrive. I've been in this situation so many times where I'm prepping, and then I look at my watch and I've got 5 minutes until my guests arrive. And like the stress is so there. It's so high and it's so not fun. So now what I do is minimum 30 minutes before I am ready to go. I've done my hair, I've changed my clothes, I have put any makeup on, I've put my earrings in, I look presentable, and yeah, highly recommend. Okay, now it's showtime, baby. The planning is done, the table is set, and you should have done everything that you needed to do before your guests arrive. And hosting a dinner party should be fun, it shouldn't be stressful. So let me give you some tips on how to actually enjoy yourself while making sure your guests are having an amazing time. Now, as we said, based on your scheduling, you should have prepared everything and you should feel really comfortable with what you have to do whilst your guests are there. Make sure your table is set, your food is ready to go, you are ready, you've got music on, and so everything is ready. Your guests arrive and you greet them, you can offer them a drink and just relax, chat with them, catch up. Like, you don't want to be going into the kitchen as soon as your guests arrive because they'll just be standing there like, okay, now what? And so just make sure that you kind of feel confident that when they arrive, you will be able to kind of give them your time and catch up with them and have a chat. Now, next up, the food. We have established that our starter is either going to be chilled or it's in the oven. So that's really, really simple. That should just be doing its own thing in the background. So once everyone's arrived and you've had some nibbles and you're ready to eat, serve up your simple starter. Timings between courses are something to keep an eye on. You want the time between starters and mains to be a bit shorter than mains and desserts. So I would recommend kind of looking at like 10 minutes between a starter and a main because people get excited for the main and you don't want them to wait for too long. And then the time between a main and dessert can kind of be like 10 to 20 minutes, really depending on how well the conversation's going, how hungry people are, how ready you are to serve the next dish. And it just gives you time to kind of eat and chat and be with your friends. Now, it's okay to give your friends tasks, whether that's clearing the plates, pouring wine, or bringing the plates to the table. People love to feel involved, so just give them something to do that you're happy with them doing. Or if you just rather that everyone stays out of the kitchen, just tell them to sit and stay, which I've done many a times. Sometimes that's just less stressful. You just prefer to do everything yourself. Okay, part 4, the aftermath. So the party was a success. You ate, you laughed, and you actually got to enjoy yourself, which is super important when hosting a dinner party. But now comes the part that no one likes. The cleanup. And trust me, you do not want to wake up the next morning and your kitchen be an absolute bomb site. So in this section, I am sharing my stress-free cleanup strategy. How to tackle dishes, keep things manageable, and actually make cleanup kind of fun. Okay, the golden rule, friends. The golden rule. Don't leave it till morning. I cannot stress this enough. It's so tempting to go to bed and just deal with it later, but future you will absolutely hate that decision. And you know it. So here's how to make the cleanup job fast and painless. Number 1, do not, I repeat, do not sit down after your guests have gone. You'll be physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted, and mentally exhausted because you've been hosting all night and you've been prepping for a couple of days. But you'll be fueled from the adrenaline you've had all evening and you'll be on such a high. So use that to get going and clean up the kitchen. As soon as you sit down, you'll start scrolling on your phone, you'll get tired, and then you'll just be like, oh, I'll do it in the morning. So don't sit down, people. 2, get some music on. A banging playlist is always a must. One that's upbeat, it's gonna get you moving. If it's late, we live in a flat, and so I don't want to disturb our neighbors, so I'll just put in my AirPods and get on a good playlist, and I'll just kind of boogie along whilst clearing up. But if you live in a house, whack it on the speakers. 3, time yourself. Give yourself 10 minutes to absolutely complete the job. And know that at the end, you can reward yourself by getting into some comfies, having a cup of tea, having a little like biscuit or something, or literally just snuggling up into bed and passing out. And number 4, start small. It can be quite overwhelming seeing all of the dirty dishes and just being like, where am I gonna start with this? But honestly, start small and it gradually just clears itself up. So what you wanna do is clear the table first, scrape the plates into the bin, and stack them neatly next to your dishwasher or sink. Essentially, you just wanna remove everything from the services and prepare them for soaking or the dishwasher. Once you've done that, place everything that you can into the dishwasher and everything that needs soaking or larger kind of pots or pans by the sink or in the sink. Once you've done that, wipe all of your surfaces down so that everything looks clean and tidy, including the table. Once your dishwasher's full, put the dishwasher on and begin the washing up. Now, this is completely up to you. I like leaving the washing up to just dry overnight naturally because then in the morning, I'll put all of the dishwasher stuff away and I'll put all of the naturally drying up stuff away as well. But if you'd prefer to just make your kitchen completely pristine, then you can also dry up and put it all away in that moment as well. The key is basically to just leave no mess or overwhelm for the next day. Especially, for example, if you've got work the next day or you've got a really busy day and like you literally just don't have time to deal with all of that mess. So vacuum the floor, you can also mop it if you like, and you're done. And just like that, your stress-free dinner party is complete. You hosted like a pro, you enjoyed your night, your guests enjoyed their night, and you even tackled cleaning up without losing your mind. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful, and if you did, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more hosting tips, recipes, and all things food.